Ladies and gentlemen, some of you wanted to know why residential water well drillers put small rodents in their bum-bums. Oh, that ain't right. You guys wanted to know something else, but they do that, and it's because they're disgusting, horrible slime with no regard for sentient life. I know them well, and they get a particularly great deal of satisfaction from something called the Eurasian harvest mouse. You guys wanted to know why I call residential water well drillers my mortal enemy. Let's talk about that. You may remember a video of me pulling up a well pump with this little tractor right here, and it did a nice job, but once I had that well pump up, I feared that I needed a new screen, which would have cost $30,000 if a well drilling company had anything to do with it. That's because if your screen goes bad, a well driller will tell you that you need a new well, and they always feed you the same crap. It's 25 years old, you got your lifetime out of it, it's time for a new well. That'll be a minimum of 30 grand, a price that they just invented and cannot be justified in the lower peninsula of Michigan. It would make sense in a place with a lower water table or a limited water supply or a place that is very hard to drill, but not here, the land of sandy loam and limestone. My last house, the well there, was drilled with a post hole digger. It was 70 feet deep and it cost me around $800 from beginning to end. I still have the tool I used right here. That's the guy right there. I had 8 sections of 10-foot pipe and it took me a week to do it, but I didn't have to pay 30 grand. Of course, I could have just used the existing well at that property and not drilled one by hand if I had known you could just buy a smaller screen that fits inside of your existing screen, and with a few materials you can put that screen in by hand. That's right, a well driller will tell you cannot replace a screen. They got to rip the old one out of there, you got to push a new one down in there, you got to use a powerful water jet to loosen the well casing from the earth around it, and then you have to lift up on the well casing while you hold that screen down to expose it. And it's just not worth it. The kind of equipment that it would take to do something like that is astronomically priced. It cannot be done. That's what a well driller told a 20-year-old kid who made $7.45 an hour and lived in a trailer house and did not have a place to take a shower. That is the first encounter I had with a well driller, and I have many more after that. There it is right there, my 53-year-old well with a 7-year-old screen in it. The water was clean, delicious, and I could fill a swimming pool without any issues at all. The well I dug by hand is buried under this mess someplace, sadly, but it was a legal well. The minimum depth in this area is 40 feet, and that well was 70 feet, and it also had good clean water and could run for days on end when I forgot to shut the garden hose off while watering trees. And the well drillers will give you some crap like, I broke a bit, and the cost of materials and the cost of the equipment, and if you don't want a big muddy mess, I gotta bring in a compressed air unit, or I found a big rock, so we gotta bring in a cable unit. None of that stuff costs that much. It all came from a government auction for cheap, because the government buys a new drill every time they make a hole in the ground. It's all paid for itself 100 times over, and at this point, you are just handing $30,000 to the well driller's big plump wife. Why do I know all of this? Well, because I've worked with well drillers before, and I did it up until I got tired of making people cry. In my next video, I'll tell you about my encounter with well drillers in a place called Tower when the 40-foot rule was first implemented.